All right, so we talked a little bit about the basic position of the de la Riva and the rudimentary mechanics that make it function. Let's talk about how or why we might end up there. We might end up there because despite me keeping a strong closed guard, my opponent is able to stand up or even nearly open the guard. Let's say again, for the sake of this drill, he'll stand up and look, the feet open, and now he starts to walk this knee close, and he starts to step away on that foot. He starts to control the leg, right, with pressure on the inside so he can open it. And this is a problem now for me because I'm stretched farther than my legs are able to cover the hips. In other words, to really operate efficiently within the guard, I need control of both of his hips. Right now, because he's created this very nice angle and he's sitting down a little bit like he's in a chair, and really his hips should be thrust forward and his head and back up tall. It's very hard for me now to cover both of the hips. He's made his stance longer than I'm able to secure. So what do we do when we can't cover both? We cover one. If I leave this here, it's an issue because it's a base. And if my leg here is just free, I also have no base. That's how he's able to maybe step back and push the leg to the ground and then walk around the side very easily, right, and take the second leg out. Or any one of a number of sweeps that he chooses to use. The point is, he's cracked the position open and then he's widened it so much that I can't control him anymore. So now I can't give my attention to both sides because this one back here is not really available. So I'm going to focus all my attention on one side only. On one side only before anything happens to me. So I switch this grip to give me room to move. It also allows me to hold the heel when I get to the other side. More advanced versions of this see the people going underneath, but that's something for much later. Right now we're still working off the basic mechanics. I end up here because the guard is open and he steps away, changes the angle. So now I'm going to take all my attention and put it here. Before I move, I have to make a base. If I put this leg on the ground for base, it's easy for him to hold the knee and step over. And that's the beginning of his pass. It's almost there. Right? He can cut across, he can walk to the side, he can walk backwards, he can go under, over, whatever. So what I'd like to do is use this foot to make a base on his body. Just because you make a base doesn't mean I have to bridge on the ground. I make a base on his leg, on his hip, right here. Right? I don't do this so the knee's in and he can easily slip underneath or around. I hold tight using my foot like a hand around his hip, and this is my base. And now based there, I can take this leg and kick myself around the corner, right? Walking hip, shoulder, until I can insert the hook and then touch his leg. Now we're back where we first began with the rudimentary mechanical position established. And to make sure that he doesn't turn the knee out, remember, I hold the heel and then I put pressure here with my leg. Now you see what's happening as I put the pressure this way, it's making his head dip, right? It's making his head dip. He would like to sit down a little bit like he's in a chair, push the hips forward and stand up tall, right? And if I give him the lever or the leeway to do that, the slack to do that, by not keeping this grip close, he's going to be able to start to manage my guard and initiate a pass. So while he's looking to do that, what does he need to do that? Before he can put the hips in comfortably, thrust them forward comfortably, he needs a solid base. So during this phase, this is when I began to very much disturb his base. I want to keep my leg clamshelled in here so that I get his knee pointed this way all the time. This hand, remember, is holding the heel so that he can't turn the toes. This foot is pushing the thigh. Because if he steps too close together for his base so he can put the hips in, I'm done. So before he does that, when he steps in, I push him away. Right? Now, say he's close and he needs to widen his base a little bit. Now I can pull him in. What do I do with this grip? I stretch it over my head and I pull him in. I make him touch the ground because otherwise he's going to face plant. Right? So as we play this game, the first priority is to always disturb the base. I keep him guessing about which way we're going to go. Are we going to go this way? Are we going to go this way? This way? And I just get him guessing. And meanwhile, his fight is to try and just keep both feet on the ground because only when he has the base is he able to put the hips forward, control the leg, turn the knee, and start his pass, whatever that may be. All right, lots of ways to pass. So I'm always disturbing the base, always disturbing the base. At a certain point, I'll feel that because his hips are so far back and his shoulders are so far forward, and I'll see also his head begins to tilt, and he'll need to touch the ground, right, to stop himself from falling. Now you notice I'm moving him over this 45-degree angle. I'm not moving him straight. This is not purely lateral, and I'm not moving him south. It's not west, east, north, and south. I'm moving him northeast, right, over the shoulder at this 45-degree angle. That means that this base here that he's making with the arm, it doesn't really matter so much because we're not going that way. We're going this way. The issue would be if he's able to touch the ground here and hold himself up, and now he can walk the feet in, he can sit down, he can put the hips up and stand up again. Exactly, right? And now I'm in trouble. So again, I have to mess with the base. So I want to pull him and push him, and eventually I get him reaching for the ground over the shoulder. And then just as he reaches, I take it south, and we go, right? From here, I can easily follow him up using the momentum and complete the pass. The sweep and the pass, right? Complete the sweep. Complete the reversal. I can keep this until I come out the other side. Look how I retain the grip on the sleeve so that he can't stretch the leg. Right? If I let go, perhaps on the way he would have been able to stretch the leg and trip away and get the knee inside and start to replace the guard, or go belly down, whatever, right? I want to control the position all the way. So when I stand up and I have a nice strong base and I'm a person perhaps who's accomplished at guard passing, so I give Charlie trouble here, I make this angle, right? And now he can't control my hips anymore on both sides, so he has to go to one side. So he switches the grip, right, on the arm, and he holds the heel, and now he uses his leg to walk around the corner. But first he makes a base on my thigh. If he didn't make that base, right, I can just easily, if he just makes the base on the ground, I can step over and get away very quickly. So he makes the base on me. Now he walks to the angle that he needs to get the foot all the way inside, and then he touches the thigh here, because if I come too close, he can push me away, and if I get too far, he can pull me in. Exactly, look, now I touch the ground. This is the only thing keeping me up anymore because my hips are light. How are they light? Because he's still squeezing with the knee in, and he's still using the hook to lift the hips up, and he's still stretching me away. So all the pressure is putting my hips back, and what I want is then forward, and he knows that because that's my pass. So he keeps my hips back and my shoulders down. Now when he pulls me over the shoulder and uses his legs to draw me in, I touch the ground. That's my only defense, or my head's going to hit the pavement or the mat. So now he just takes this hand and shoves it south. That's it. And we go, right? And then he finishes the sweep by ending up on top. Somehow. Sometimes you roll over the shoulder, sometimes you roll back. We'll see. In the most basic way, we get to here. I go around the corner. I stretch him. We're good. I start to draw him in. I touch him here. And look, I just follow him now. I just follow him. Sometimes if he's this far, it makes sense to just hold the legs in place and take the leg out and go to my knees. And I don't let him bring the legs back. See, I use the hand here so that he can't turn the hips down or shrimp away from me to replace the guard. Sometimes we end up the other way. And I go like this. To the side, I hold the heel, I hold the grip. I don't let him touch me and make a base. I make a base on him, right? When it's time to go, I draw him in here. And then as I punch the arm south and he rolls, sometimes he ends up like this, close to me. So I just follow, right up. Sometimes the arm will get stuck underneath the leg and I'll hold it and continue to pass, right? You see what happens. Importantly though, I would say, when you practice a sweep, don't just sweep your partner and then let him roll away. It's critical for you to follow up and see what position you'll end up in. If you don't do this, you don't know how to achieve the superior position off of your reversal. And then you're stuck and you have a very good beginning, but not a very good finish, right? So whatever you do, now we play a little bit like this, right? And he actively tries to move away and I'm pushing and pulling him in and we catch him here, I gotta go right away. I gotta see what I have and follow it. Right, I can't pause. Right, he does this to me. He has the grip, he's going around the corner, he has the heel. All the establishment of the minimum criteria are in place, and he understands how to move the base back and forth. And then he starts to go, and then he follows me. Somehow, right away, he follows, so that he ends up and he secures the top. Right back to the basics, right? Don't let me move the hip. If you need to hold the head, you hold the head. If you go under the arm, you hold the arm, whatever. But he's got to lock me in place here and follow the sweep through to its completion, which means he ends up on top. Okay? Make sense? Yeah? Okay, we're good.